Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. That's right, one more Sawblade shooter video. It was modeled after the Far Cry Primal New Dawn epic Sawblade shooter. And actually it turned out that Patrick Priebe, a fellow weapon maker from Germany as well, also was commissioned with making one. His concept is kind of completely different, and that's because he's more into like electricity gadgets and laser gadgets and so on. So he had a completely different approach. My approach was entirely mechanical. I had a rack and pinion system and a sled that was pulled by the rubber bands. So when you pulled the trigger, the sled with the saw blade attached to a rotating disc by magnets was accelerated on the way to the muzzle, quote unquote, and then it shot off, spinning, hitting the target. Now Patrick used a completely different method. He actually used a rather normal crossbow setup, but it was also pushing a rod, but the rod actually had a saw blade spinning on top, and it was accelerated with a small little motor, and that motor actually spun this thing while in cocked condition, and when it fired, the rod was pushed forwards, the saw blade was still spinning from inertia, and then he had some kind of a ramp, whereas the saw blade was slowly lifted off the sled, and at the end of the acceleration it would simply continue to fly, whereas the sled would be hitting a blocker. So it's a completely different approach. He was also using a much smaller saw blade, and if you want to really see his weapon in action, it's actually quite impressive, then the link to his video is down below. I hope you enjoy it. This is a very good example about how you can achieve a satisfying result with completely different approaches. But I actually had to do a lot of things just because I wanted the weapon to look like the one in the game. Now, of course, this is the Slingshot channel, and I usually build launchers completely different, usually from wood and with a much more direct acceleration. So I decided to also give it a go and make a third variation, not just the one that I built for Far Cry, and not the one that Patrick built for Far Cry 2, but I built one independently from the game, and it's not sponsored, and it's an old school Slingshot channel Sawblade launcher. Let me show you what I came up with. And this is it, the Slingshot channel vertical Sawblade shooter. Let me show you its features. First, it's made entirely from wood. This means it's a lot lighter. It only weighs about 3 kilos, whereas the original one was like 9 kilos, so this is 3 times lighter. And also the sled, it's also using a sled, but the sled is a lot lighter than this huge sled with the rotating discs and so on, because it's simply a push rod with a little sear here at the rear side. It's also using a ton of rubber. This actually is a total of 10 full-width TheraBand golds, so 5 per side. Means that you could make 30 conventional powerful slingshots from that amount of bands. So as strong as 30 powerful slingshots, you cannot cock this with your hands anymore. Therefore, I adapted it so it fits my homemade universal winch that you can simply attach to it like this, use it for cocking, and then remove it again. So as you see, I have now attached the hooks to the bands, and you can also now see that the sled actually is shaped like the saw blade. So it extends a little bit into the slot here, so it's guiding the saw blades seamlessly. And now all I have to do is cock it to the end, remove the hooks, and then it's ready for some shooting. And then I can remove the hooks, like so. And I'm ready for some shooting. Muzzle loading the saw blades is always a little bit dangerous. Okay, let's try to hit the broadside of the barn. Whoa! Did you see that? That was fast. Wow, look at that. I'm not sure how I'm gonna get this out ever, because this sticks in solid. Whoa! So now we will test the new weapon against this block of gelatin. Last week we tested the original game design weapon against a gelatin block, a similar one, and it was only able to cut a shallow little slot into it. Let's see if the new weapon performs any better. Und Okay, well, as you can clearly see, this was a completely different story. I mean, there's a huge cut in it, and you can still very clearly see the marks from the teeth of the saw blade. And you can also see in the slow motion that was clearly rotating well. And this, of course, is a major cut. So as you saw, it does spin, because otherwise it would not fly stable. How do I achieve the spin? Well, it has to do with these skid marks that you can see on the teeth of the saw blade. I'm using a technique that you probably know from airsoft. It's called a hop-up. This means that when the disc flies, then it is hitting some kind of a brake that only breaks the disc at one side. So this one side would be slightly decelerated by friction, and then it continues but with a spin. So it comes in straight and then it gets the spin. Okay, as you see here, we got this box here. And this box actually is quite nice because it's actually two rubber blocks. So if I use this, you can see that they're spring loaded. I can shift them to the side and they create some friction. So if I come in from here, then I can only squeeze the knife through if I apply pressure, like so. It works a little bit like a disc brake, like pliers that push down on the turning thing, and they are spring loaded so that even the wear that will naturally occur doesn't matter, because the springs will keep pushing them together. Now, before you wonder, this is not a sponsored knife video. I bought this Gerber International, I think it's made in Japan, yeah, it's made in Japan, like 35 years ago, and used it a lot, and I recently refurbished it, so it now looks beautiful again. And it's one of my favorite knives. So this is how this works. As you see, it's clamped in now, so it will go through and then release the disc with a spin. Okay, let's try to shoot from 20 meters. Whoa! Did you see that? It flew very, very true, and with a lot of force. Actually, the trajectory was a lot flatter than I thought. That's why I came in pretty high. That's our first shot. And I don't think that it lost much power. Look at the penetration. Okay, last time we shot against one of these mannequins. This time it's a nice Arnold zombie, Terminator. And let's try to hit at it again and see if this can cause more damage than just throwing it over. Okay, and die! Whoa! It did not throw over, but look at the damage. I'd say we have some serious lung damage right here. Wow. Feeling fit, buddy? Yeah, old Santa from the dead suffered a little bit too. And then we have major damage underneath. Well, it's only plastic. But I certainly don't want to be hit by one of these. Okay, before we continue, I have a serious request. My friend, colleague, fellow YouTuber and world champion knife thrower Adam Celadin is sick. He has cancer. Actually, a while ago I even made an episode for his channel because his treatments force him to stop uploading, and now he's without an income. Now, they just removed a kidney after chemotherapy, and the guy is really in trouble. And he estimates that he won't be able to upload for at least 4 weeks. I think it's going to be longer than that. Now, he has a GoFundMe page. His only way to feed his family as long as he cannot work. As you know, YouTubers have no insurance, we have no social security, and the guy is in deep trouble. And I would really appreciate if you guys would donate a few dollars or a few euros to him. It will help him tremendously, and I will do for him what I can, I guarantee. Thanks. Now we will try something completely crazy and a little bit dangerous. So this is of course also a stunt channel, that's why I'm always wearing my safety t-shirt. But I encourage you to not do that at home, because we're going to try to shoot an arrow from it. And this is actually made from very thin aluminum, very soft, but it weighs almost exactly as much as one of these saw blades. And of course I will remove the brake, you know, the hop-up device, so that it can fly straight. But this is a balanced arrow. It's front heavy a little bit, But I think what will happen is that the force, the major force that shifts it from here will actually bend it. And then probably terrible things are going to happen to the weapon, not without dangers. In any case, I have to try, so watch out. So, muzzle loading the arrow into this thing. There it goes. And go! Whoa! It worked! Yeah, it didn't cause too much harm though, because it was bending almost immediately. Now it's, of course, can bend it back into shape, but yeah, it is kind of wobbly. But it was fun. So, Sawblade launchers. Well, I think I've proven that they can be a very serious weapon. Still, of course, with an arrow, they would be a lot more effective with the same power and same everything, but Sawblades are just looking so freaking cool and dangerous. In any case, so we have 3 weapons. We have my original one that I made for Far Cry. Then we have Patrick Priebes. And then we have my 3rd one. Which model do you like best? I'd really appreciate if you would put a comment down there. And I also would appreciate if you would visit Patrick's video. Look at it. I promise it's awesome. So, I hope you liked this, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye. Okay, we'll give this a go. Poor shed wall. All right, one shot at the broadside of the barn. Whee. That went wrong.